Before Pitbull. Before Fat Joe. Before Cypress Hill. Well, not really before Cypress Hill, really they came out around the same time, but before / contemporaneous with all of those guys, there was one man who brought Latin hip-hop to the masses. A man who went by the single name of Gerardo, but shall ever be known by the nickname he bestowed upon himself in his breakthrough hit single, Rico. Suave. With just those two words and one eternally shirtless torso, Gerardo created the new gold standard of male sophistication and sexuality. With his time in the spotlight, he elevated the long marginalized Latino community into the mainstream. He was a groundbreaker. Truly, without him, we would likely not have the many Hispanic sex symbols that today pervade our culture. But when you ask the eternal question, ¿Quién es más macho?, there can only be one answer. Rico. And yet this man who seemed poised to become hip-hop's first Latin superstar dropped off the radar almost as quickly as he arrived, with Rico Suave being his only entry into the mainstream. Why is that? What happened? What could make a man this suave not have the staying power to become one of the bigger names in the music industry? Well, let's take a look at Mr. Gerardo and find out what exactly made his Rico Suaveness not last. Gerardo Mejia was born in 1965 in Guayaquil, Ecuador. At the age of 12, he moved with his family to the Los Angeles area, and like many Hispanic immigrants in LA, Gerardo's family survived in their new home by doing menial, degrading work. Accounting. Gerardo only expected to follow in his father's footsteps and live the rest of his life in the grimy, ugly barrios of Glendale, California, but found a way out of that life of misery when he discovered his talent: dancing. Yes, his original plan was to escape the hardscrabble life of an accountant by becoming a professional dancer. And after winning a lot of local dance competitions, he got himself an agent who, through a fluke of luck, managed to divert Gerardo into his true calling, acting.
What's going on, guys?
Yeah, he was an actor for a while. Surely you remember his crucial role as Ricky in the 80s teen comedy Can't Buy Me Love. And I don't remember him in that? Well, perhaps you remember his slightly larger role in the crime drama Colors, for which he successfully bluffed his way into being cast as a Mexican gangbanger, despite the fact that he was a kid from the suburbs with badminton trophies.
Listen, Holmes, it's always gonna be gangs, man. It's always gonna be fighting.
So what does this say about him? As an actor, he got cast as an asshole high school jock and an LA gang member. Sounds like casting directors have decided the main attributes of his persona are youthful stupidity and cruelty. I can't imagine these traits have any effect on his ability to sell himself as a credible ladies' man. He also starred in 8 episodes of the Top Gun ripoff show Super Carrier, a show which I am eternally grateful to find out exists.
Yeah, I was in the gangs, but now I belong to a new gang, and we got rules. We got a code.
Well, while he was pursuing acting, he also kept active in the music world, fronting a reggae band, but eventually moving into hip-hop, cutting demos that he hoped would land him a record deal. But could a Latino, particularly one from the suburbs and not the streets, ever have enough cred to break through into a hip-hop scene populated by black artists like this guy? Only one thing could break him through: sheer raw talent. And his chronic shirtlessness. For bringing Rico Suave to the world, we have this man to thank. That is Michael Sembello of Maniac fame, and hopefully I'll get to him someday on this show. Anyway, as a music producer, he got his hands on Gerardo's demo and he signed in based on the strength of one song, a little number called, say it with me everyone,
Rico. Suave.
What does that mean? Now translated, it means rich and smooth, like Skippy peanut butter. And ladies love that, just like they love Rico Suave. Allegedly. Now, I only have 3 years of high school Spanish to figure out what he's saying here, but I'll try to be as accurate as possible here. Let's figure out what he's saying. Uh-huh. So the first lines of this song are a steady stream of unadulterated bullshit. Good to know. Okay, who am I kidding? This song is a terrible, ridiculous, almost Jersey Shorean parody of unlikable douchebags bragging unconvincingly about their sexual prowess. Furthermore, one thing you can see him doing is taking cues from the other pop rappers of his day. Gerardo, as far as I can tell, combines the preening buffness of Marky Mark with the obnoxious nasally whine of Vanilla Ice. Seriously, close your eyes and imagine you don't know what this guy looks like. Does this sound like the man of your dreams, ladies?
There's not a woman that can handle a man like me, that's why I juggle 2 or 3.
Or does he sound like this to you? For what it's worth, Gerardo does do a lot to sell himself as a smooth operator. Like, for example, when he brags,
My only addiction had to do with a female species. I eat them raw like sushi. No.
Hey, funny thing about that, he didn't even come up with the phrase himself. Raw Like Sushi was the debut album of Nena Cherry. I think she meant raw in the sense of real, not raw in the sense of Gerardo's oral sex technique being so terrible as to leave painful abrasions. Although she could have been, I guess. Also, you can't tie him down.
You pop the question, that's it.
Although I don't know why you'd want to. On top of that, he doesn't want to meet your parents. And if you drag him over there, he will insult your mom's cooking straight to her face.
I'm used to good old-fashioned home-style Spanish cooking. If I try that, I'll be puking.
That doesn't rhyme.
Rico.
I'll give him this though. He does sing those 2 words very, very well.
Suave.
I think he does actually sound kind of rich and smooth when he says Rico or Suave. Of course, that aura quickly dissipates the second he is asked to say anything other than that.
Would you rather have me lie, take a piece of your pie and say bye, or be honest and rub your thighs?
Okay, this has not aged well, but you have to understand, this is what sold in 1991. Songs like this can make you big, big star. It's not Gerardo's fault gangsta rap came along a couple years later and wiped all that off the map. But Gerardo still had a few years left before that happened, and he still couldn't find another hit. And furthermore, despite his success, he was decried by other Latinos who said that he was perpetuating an exaggerated negative stereotype that further marginalized their culture, and that he might as well just put on a sombrero and shout "Andale, andale." Clearly, he was going to have to do something else to win back some street cred. Could he do it? No, he couldn't.
Yo, Oritmo!
He released 3 more singles from his debut album, Oritmo. His second single was entitled We Want the Funk. Now, lazy sampling was a major problem with early 90s crossover hip-hop, and of course, Gerardo was no exception to this. His second hit obviously lifted chorus from the classic song by the legendary George Clinton, who is standing right there. Wait a minute, what the?
Oh yeah, you did Rico Suave. Yeah, he's alright.
No, he's not. He's not, George. I suppose this was the beginning of George Clinton's try and get in good with the kids 90s comeback era, but oh man, did he strike out with that one. Maybe it's more obvious in retrospect, but seriously, George, of all the rappers you could have chosen to become relevant with, Rico Suave was not him. As for the song, it did better than you'd expect, breaking into the top 20, but there's a reason why it hasn't endured like Rico Suave. Because we already have a Rico Suave. Outside of its stolen chorus, We Want the Funk is basically the same exact song. It doesn't have anything to do with funk or the pursuit thereof. I mean, I've heard it, Rico. Give me something else. Hopefully he does a little better with his next song, When the Lights Go Out. I have 2 comments on this. 1, wow, you couldn't be trying harder to be Marky Mark. 2, who is Miss Bobby? Gerardo makes the strange choice of actually naming the girl he's trying to seduce, and this ruins the illusion that Rico is talking to you, nameless lady fan, but of course none of these songs are meant for ladies anyway. Gerardo was quite upfront about the fact that he wrote the songs for, quote, the Spanish male. Got it, Pedro? This is for you! And finally, we have a song called Latin Till I Die, parentheses, Oye Como Va. Okay, 2 obvious sample aside, I'm glad to finally see Gerardo rap about something else besides women. Of course, this is not that far away from his other singles. Ethnic pride is clearly shown through all of his songs, but it's nice to see him focus on that rather than his increasingly tedious womanizing.
será la suertuda que Gerardo esta noche escoja.
Or not.
Me amarro mi bandana en la cabeza como siempre.
Also, is it sad that even though I can't speak the language, I can tell Gerardo is clearly trying to be tone loc here?
Working all week, 9 to 5 for my money. So the weekend comes, I go get live with the honey.
All these songs are exactly the same. It's becoming quite abundantly clear to me that the reason Gerardo never scored a second hit is because he was a painfully limited person who had only one song in him. And he put out 5 more albums. Let's go. None of Gerardo's 5 other albums charted. His second album had a song on it called My Name Is Not Rico, Leonard Nimoy style. But that wasn't the single. The single was titled simply Love. And I'm gonna assume not in the peace and love for all mankind kind of way. Let's play it.
Ven aquí, acércate a mí, que te quiero decir. Solo estaba sin tus abrazos, buscándote, siguiendo tus pasos, me rescataste toda locura, perdido en una vida falsa.
You've gotta be kidding me. Okay. This is Set Adrift on Memory Bliss by PM Dawn. They don't play it much anymore, but it was a #1 hit back in '91. You may notice a few minor resemblances between the two songs, like the whispered vocals, smooth R&B hook, chord structure, the instrumentation, the fact that one is a complete and total rip-off of the other in every conceivable way, a few other minor details like that. This is blatant. His Latino critics were right. He is perpetuating negative stereotypes, namely that they steal and that they're lazy. Oh no, I can't listen to this anymore. Okay, well, why don't we check out the single from his third album, Maria Elisa. At this point, pretty much all of his songs were in Spanish. The Latino community never embraced him anyway, but he did score 1 more hit on the Latin charts with this one. Let's see if I can translate this for you.
Rico, pero no tiene nada de suave.
Mira qué creída eres, pero me gusta así que antes que te enteres.
Soy como las otras, soy bien celosa.
Nena, ¿qué quieres que haga? Son unas pegajosas.
No me importan las botas o te vas.
No, that's not what he's actually saying. It's just him flirting with his girl and her being too polite, I assume, to just straight up tell him no. I'm not gonna translate this. I'm not listening to this anymore. I'd very much like to tell you that he was reduced to selling t-shirts on the side of the road, but he actually did quite well for himself after this as a record executive for Interscope. Among other things, he discovered Enrique Iglesias, although I would argue that the son of the most successful Latin singer of all time does not really need to be discovered. It's like saying the Houston Rockets discovered Jeremy Lin. Gerardo also discovered Southern white rapper Bubba Sparks, a once promising artist who, unfortunately, is only known nowadays for this. So you have Gerardo to thank for that too. The fact that he was an executive probably explains a lot in how he was able to keep putting out albums. At some point he got old and started making Christian music. I'm not a fan of worship music when I actually understand the language, so I can't imagine I'd have much use for this. Although I guess he's doing okay for himself, so whatever. I hate this moron. He's just annoying. If I never have to hear that nasally whine again, I will be quite happy. Maybe he was just unlucky enough to hit it big at a time that aged phenomenally quickly and seemed out of date just a year after he came out, but surely there must be one nice thing I can say about him. I guess you could legit make the case that he was a trendsetter. Whatever else you want to say about his level of talent, he did prove that there was a market for Latinos in rap, and that Spanish language hip-hop could succeed in the mainstream, so in that sense you could call him a pioneer. The first rapper to prove that there was more room for people than just black or even just white. And in that regard, Rico Suave is an important historical milestone regardless of its actual quality. Oh wait, I forgot Mellow Man Ace.
Right now you're just a liar, a straight mentirosa. Today you tell me something y mañana es otra cosa.
Crap, that guy was first. Okay, Gerardo was a moron of no significance whatsoever. Good night.
Grande.